You're listening to Kendrick Loves to Brand, the branding podcast featuring stories and lessons from entrepreneurs and brand builders so you can get inspiration, insights, strategies, and tactics as you create your own game-changing brand.
What is up, guys? Welcome to another edition of Mindset Monday. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I actually spent the weekend reflecting on the episode that I had with Dan Matutina. That's episode 2. So for those of you who haven't listened to that episode, I suggest you go back through the library of the podcast and find that episode. Give it a listen. Dan is one of the most, I would say, respected and accomplished designers in the country, and you're gonna take a lot from that episode for sure. So, reflecting on that episode, I was able to really reflect and think about the themes that we touch on during the episode. And the one thing that really resonated with me was how passionate Dan is about fighting for your ideas. So that's what we want to talk about today, fighting for your ideas. So coming from that episode, there are 3 things that really grabbed my attention in terms of how Dan approached his work and how he fights for his ideas. And that's what I want to share with you guys today. So the first thing you want to do is to raise your standards. You have to be a student of great works and great ideas. It's not to copy or not to imitate or emulate or even emulate, right? Even the great designers or the great works that you see. We don't want to just copy, right? You want to be able to look at these great works, admire them, but also to use them to set an internal standard by which to judge your own ideas. If you don't have a frame of reference for what great works or great ideas are in your line of work, then it will be hard for you to know when you come up with an idea. It will be hard for you to know whether this idea is going to cut it, right? So even somebody like Dan, who I mentioned is an accomplished multi-awarded designer, he's always on the lookout for great works that other brands are coming up with, even if they're not his clients, or he's looking at other agencies or other brand designers from other countries and looking at the works that they produce, to study it, to learn from it, and to get inspiration, or even just to feel that competitive fire in you that you want to do better than them, right? At the end of the day, it's all about setting a higher standard internally for you to know if the works or the ideas that you're coming up with are good enough, right? The second thing is, if you come up with a great idea, if you think you have a great idea, the second thing you have to do is to get buy-in, right? So unless you're creating art for yourself, you'll have to sell your idea or your work to a client or your customer. So it doesn't matter how great your idea is. If the audience you created it for, if the customer that you created this idea or this work for doesn't like it or thinks it's not even good, then it doesn't matter how proud you are of the work, right? You have to go back, fix it, improve it, or maybe even just get better at selling it, right? So even somebody like Dan, like I mentioned, Dan is the head of Plus 63, and he's part of the Hydra Design Group. His design agency is his design studio is one of the most sought after design studios in the country. But that doesn't mean that his clients are just going to automatically approve the work that he creates. He also has to make sure that it actually solves the problem of the client. And he also has to get buy-in. So at the end of the day, it's not just about creating great work. You also have to be able to sell your work. And lastly, after you've done all of that, you have to then stand up for your idea. You have to fight for your idea, as the theme of this episode says, basically, right? So as long as you believe deep down that you've done your homework and your idea is the best solution in the market for that particular problem that you're trying to solve, then that's a time you have to stand firm and fight for your idea. I remember in this episode when Dan and I talked about the rebranding that they did for the UP Fighting Maroons, that after going through just a very, very quick process, very intense, quick process of turning that design solution forward because of the very limited time that they had before the start of the season, when they launched the design, a lot of people liked it, but there are also some people who didn't quite like it, right? Who had, a comment here and there, who had a critique, who had their own ideas, their own suggestions about, why not make the right fist look like a left fist, or the left fist look like a right fist, or make it look like it's a left and right fist at the same time. Like, there are a lot of these, comments or suggestions, and it's really, for me, admirable that Dan and the team that work on it, was able to really take on that onslaught of comments and suggestions and everything, and just say, look, we understand all of that, we hear you, but this is the best solution. We believe this is the best solution based on the homework that we did. Well, they're also coming from UP, so they do understand what the brand is all about. So knowing all of that, this is the best work that we believe this is the best solution to this rebrand, and we're going to stand firm. We're not going to make any changes. We're not going to go back and come up with a compromised version of the work. So, just to summarize, there will always be naysayers. There will always be people who will nitpick here and there, find little things to criticize, in your work, in your brand, in your idea. But you can't please everybody. So at the end of the day, understand what great means in your line of work. Do your best to deliver to the best of your ability to that standard, right? What great is. And then you can live with the results. And that's it for Fighting for Your Ideas. This is another episode of Mindset Monday. Make sure to follow and subscribe to the show if you haven't. And we'll always have new episodes coming out for you every Friday with a new guest. And then Mindset Mondays, of course, every Monday. So if you love this podcast, if you're loving the episodes that we're coming up with, please do subscribe to the show, and please head on to Apple Podcasts or iTunes and leave a 5-star review. It really helps the show get discovered more by other people. That's it. Thank you guys, and see you in the next episode.
Thank you guys for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review the show on iTunes. It will help more people discover the show. You can also share a screen cap of the show on your social media accounts. Make sure to tag me and let me know which part of the episode you like or didn't like. All feedback is certainly welcome, so feel free to reach out to me on Instagram @KendrickCo to let me know what topics you'd like to be covered next and who you want to hear or learn from in future episodes. Until next time, do the work you want to see done, because life's too short to not be creating your life's work.